Hi, I'm Elliot. I am from Michigan and I am studying Bachelor's in Developmental Studies.
My name is Jacob Mitchell. I am from Chicago, Illinois, and I am in the Human Rights Bachelor program.
My name is Alexa, and I'm from Colorado, and I'm studying my Master's of Public Health at Lund University.
Okay, so why did you decide to study in Sweden?
My best friend is Swedish, and over the years I have traveled back and forth to come visit and sort of just fallen in love with the country and the people. And when it came time to go back to school, this was at the top of my list.
Many people say that their study abroad experience was the best part of their whole university experience. So I decided maybe I'll take a jump, maybe I'll take the challenge of immersing myself into a different culture, into a different society, and learning in that global classroom for longer. And then a couple things helped out that decision. I like to travel, and there's a lot of travel involved with going to a different place. So that was an easy decision for me. Also, tuition fee, that was something I had to think about. What was the housing situation? You know, some people may be considering the weather as an option here. And so a lot of those things lined up to where I was able to study in Sweden. I'm grateful that I've made that decision for sure.
I love Scandinavia, so I decided that I wanted to study abroad here for my master's degree. In general, I think for public health that I'm studying, Sweden is one of the best places in the world for it, Scandinavia as a whole. There are a lot of opportunities here, and I also think in general, because of the social networks they have and all of the nice programs that they have set up in Sweden, it's just a very nice country to live in where you feel like you're cared for.
How much are you paying tuition fee in Sweden? And how much is a similar program in the US?
Well, tuition was one of the reasons that I thought Sweden was an option for me. So back home in my state of Michigan, you could easily pay in-state tuition of around $25,000. But here in Sweden, for my program per year, I pay around $10,000. And my program only runs for 3 years. So all in, if you do the math, you're around $30,000 when you walk out of here.
I was lucky to get the Lund University Global Scholarship. So it covers part of my tuition fees. So I still pay living costs as well, but my tuition costs is $20,000 US, and that's for the 2 years combined. So I pay about $5,000 US per semester. A similar program would probably be $35,000 US to potentially $40,000 to $50,000 US for the 2 years. I'm not sure about 1-year programs, but it is a bit more expensive. I'd say that the prices are actually quite comparable though if you don't have scholarship.
How would you compare studying in Sweden with studying in your country?
So I think that the US, I'd say that the work-life balance they have in Sweden is a lot better than we have in the US, which is something that I love most about studying here. So I never feel too stressed and too pressured.
More relaxed, not as overtly intense, but yeah, there's a definite sense of sort of academic collaboration with your professors and such.
Back home in America, you're not just a student, you also have many other hats that you wear. You might be a worker on the side, you might have a part-time job, but here in Sweden, if you're a student, you really take on the fact that you are a student, and almost everything that you touch upon in your life, you really embrace the academic lessons involved in all of those different things. And so it's a different experience because it feels more immersive.
What surprised you about living and studying in Sweden?
I found it easy to live in Sweden. I'm a Michigander, so the weather for me didn't really affect much. I'm used to moody climate and all those different things.
It's very collaborative and it's much more engaging than I would have anticipated.
And I also love how diverse Sweden is, particularly in the southern part of Malmö where I live. They have a lot going on, a lot of different restaurants to try, which is always really exciting. A lot of nature around Sweden as well that's really beautiful and also very accessible.
You really realize that it's easy to get around. It's easy to be a student and have a student life and be able to join all those student activities here in Lund, especially with the nations. And so studying pairs well with a work-life balance of being a young person and studying as well.
What's your favorite thing about Sweden?
Maybe not the weather. I'd say that some of my favorite things about Sweden are how safe the society feels, particularly as a young woman. I really enjoy being able to go out and about anytime I want.
The Swedes have a tendency to be considerate, respectful, very aware of each other's space and privacy. There's just a very good sense of like community and respect here.
Well, let me just say that the trains run on time. In Sweden, it's an amazing place to live because it is designed with the person in mind. So while you are part of a bigger society, you're taken care of.
What's the biggest difference between studying in Sweden compared to the US?
In the United States, when you learn, it is very much based on your grades. You have to be able to meet all of the expectations that your professors set out for you. You really have to keep up with the pace. And here in Sweden, I feel like the pace keeps up with you.
I'd say the biggest difference in studying is the work-life balance. They really appreciate that you have a life outside of studying, and professors understand that and really encourage that you get involved in other things. And then because there's not the stress and pressure, I'd say that it's a better environment to learn in. I feel like I've learned a lot more because I'm just not quite trying to juggle and focus on so many things, that I'm able to really immerse myself in the things that we're working on and the material, which has been really exciting. We don't have as many lecture hours here in Sweden, I've noticed, so instead of spending more class time, you do a lot more time with independent study.
What should all people from your country know about Sweden?
I would say definitely do your research. As much as I love Scandinavia and there are amazing things about living here, the weather and certain aspects are maybe not for everyone, or it might be difficult for some people. There's definitely a transition period.
Do your homework. Make sure that your expectations are going to align with the reality. Everybody has especially Americans, I think, a very concrete idea of what they think Europe is, but Europe is not a monolith, and Sweden especially is a very quiet, sort of serene country.
Everybody speaks English very well, so you never have issues with that, but you can't necessarily get maybe some of the foods that you're used to or different things. So I'd say do your research very well and make sure that it's a place that would really work for you. Reach out if you can to the university to see if you can connect to current students, to see what their experiences are like. But in general, I'd really recommend coming. I love it here. I think a lot of people would. There's a lot of aspects of studying here in Sweden that are very unique to Sweden and that make it a very special experience and opportunity to be here.
If you are considering studying in Sweden, what I would urge you to think about in that decision process is, are you ready to change your perspectives? Are you ready to see both sides of the story? Are you ready to learn in a global classroom? If any of those things line up with your academic pursuit, studying in Sweden is a great option for you. And believe me, Americans can study in other places other than America. It's possible for sure. I can't wait to see you in Sweden.
What is one word that best describes Sweden and why?
It's perfect. I love it here. From the second I arrived at the airport the first time, felt right at home.
Opportunity. So I love the diversity and the amount of opportunities there are for everybody in the country. It's quite nice. I also think that there's opportunities to get out in nature, to explore different cultures. I'd say it's just the amount of opportunities here to also get involved in student clubs and activities and student nations. Sweden to me and Lund University is the land of opportunity.
Lagom. If you haven't learned your Swedish yet, that's a good word to start with. It means not too much, not too little. You strike the balance is the American phrase that I would equivalate it to. Lagom is Sweden, and Sweden is lagom.
This video is brought to you by Study in Sweden. And if you like this video, don't forget to give it a big thumbs up, hit the red button to subscribe. And to be updated with our latest content from Study in Sweden, hit the bell button to be notified. Hey,